Hello, everybody. So today, a good day with Bitcoin being particularly strong. The weekend was a good weekend. My last video, Saturday morning, I covered Bitcoin at 111.5. We are right now at more than 115. And of course, this is reflected in IBIT. IBIT today up 3.9%, pretty much up at the open and flattish throughout the day. Bitcoin hasn't moved much. Most of the move was over the weekend. And unfortunately, I suppose, Strategy's MNAV is compressing a little further because we are up 2.2% when we should probably be up 5% right now. So we are getting some more compression of MNAV on Strategy. Note that this is just Strategy. A lot of the smaller treasury companies are doing a little better today. I'm thinking of Naka. I'm thinking of a few other ones similar today, doing very well. So I'm thinking of a few other ones. We need the hype to return. The hype is partially on its way. We see the market fear and greed index, getting back towards neutral. I think, covering this over the short run, the day to day, it's not really that relevant. We need positivity to return to the market for MSTR to go back up. But we're going back up. We're tracking Bitcoin. There will be days where Bitcoin is flat and where we are up 5% on this stock. And meanwhile, I'm a fundamental investor. I invest for what's going on under the hood of these companies. That's why I never do charts. I never do technical analysis or anything like that. I just look at the quality, the fundamentals of the company. And MSTR, in my view, has very strong fundamentals. They did one of their bigger quote-unquote preferred only buys. This was one of the bigger buys at 390. Of course, this is the fourth week in a row where Saylor doesn't do common ATM. Fourth week in a row where he doesn't do, of course, stretch ATM either. He has never done stretch ATM. He never got started. And despite that, on all three of the other preferred, Strife, Strike, and Stride, he was able to raise 34 million. And this has been on the rise. But, I just want to call your attention to the fact that this is meaningful. This is accretive. Because let's assume, he's going to raise $50 million or every week for 48 weeks. He can only do the raise when the quarters don't close, when the books are not to be closed. Let's assume that 48 weeks, 50 million, that's 2.4 billion. The current BTC bag is 73. So if I were to create my own preferred P ratio or my preferred stock raise to bag ratio, if I could call it like that, it would be a 30x. But that number could greatly diminish. And I think the goal, of course, for Strategy, especially as Stretch is activated, the goal is to really issue 500 million a week worth of preferred. And that's not that far-fetched with Stretch in the picture. And when that happens, that stock will be dirt cheap in my view, because today we had another milestone, another big milestone, a major unlock, as I'm going to call it, which is out of the blue. We got rated by S&P Global Ratings, the same company that a lot of people were hyping up would add us to the S&P 500. This time we got a junk rating, and of course this is probably why the stock is down today, because and again, we don't really know these movements, but the stock may be down because you can see everybody's reporting, oh, this is junk rating. MSTR was rated, the debt of MSTR was rated as junk. Well, first of all, what did you expect? In my view, this could potentially have been worse. We could have gotten like an extremely speculative rating. Could have gotten a CCC rating, but we didn't. We got the lowest rating of highly speculative, which is a B plus. And of course, when you read the report, why did we get a B plus? Right? Why did we get a B plus? Because Strategy has a high Bitcoin concentration and a narrow business focus. The software business is small and they have a very high Bitcoin concentration. In other words, S&P is analyzing Strategy as a software business with a very high Bitcoin concentration. In other words, the stock will be added to the S&P 500 very, very late. It's going to take years for a company like S&P to change its way of working. Of that, I am assured that it's going to take a very, very long long time. That's why I believe in Bitcoin. We should develop our own credit rating agency or our own credit tools, and then maybe we should start rating TradFi companies based on our own tools and see how the banks, for example, would fare based on our own tools. But strategy, of course, is trying to sell this preferred to TradFi, so he has to get a higher rating. The positivity of this is we can only go up from here. I mean, I guess we could go down if we started defaulting, but we can only go up from here, and this is still a big deal because all of the other companies have no rating at all. Strategy now has a rating. This is a pretty big deal. And you can see Stretch and the other preferreds, by the way, not just Stretch, barely reacting to this news. So clearly, a lot of the funds who listen to S&P clearly are not currently buying the preferred. Those who listen to S&P, they're not buying the preferred. They're buying things like, I don't know, mortgage-backed securities, and of course we can. The credibility of these agencies, in my book, is still questioned. I still question the credibility of these agencies, because of just one number, 2008, right? I still question it. But anyways, didn't expect this. It came out of the blue. This is a great news. So under the hood, this company is doing very well. Today, we're down a little more than Bitcoin. I think a lot of it has to do with a lot of news articles reporting it as junk. And of course, people in the finance sector also know right away that a B rating like this is a junk rating. So anyways, this was not investment advice, not financial advice. This is only entertainment. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful, wonderful day.